next challenge is entitled Maskify the String. Usually when you sign up for an account to buy something, your credit card number, phone number, or answer to a secret question is partially obscured in some way. Since someone could look over your shoulder, you don't want that shown on your screen. Hence, the website masks these strings. Your task is to create a function that takes a string, transforms all but the last 4 characters into pound signs, and returns the new masked string. See the examples below. Big long number passed in, alls you see are a bunch of pound signs, and finally 5616. Same thing in example 2, also ending in 5616, but a little bit shorter. Notice the input 1 returns 1. Since you're showing 4 numbers, 1 is less than 4, so anything up to 4, whatever you have, you show. And note that in the case of an empty string as input, you return the empty string. We'll make sure we're good with the notes. The Maskify function must accept a string of any length, and an empty string should return an empty string. We already saw that in the example. So let's head over to code. Please pause and implement this yourself and come back when you're ready. So there are different strategies for going about this. I think what I'm going to do is to basically grab the 4 digits, or however many are necessary, depending on the length, and then I'm going to construct a new string. I'm going to note the length of the original string, subtract 4 from it, and basically use that number to fill with pound signs and make a new string out of it. So I'm going to make a bunch of pound signs, and I'm going to append the visible digits onto that. But first things first, let's get the simple case out of the way. If string length, I'm going to be referring to this length a lot, and let's call it length equals string length. Okay, so if length is less than 5, basically then all you have is 4 or less letters. We know we just give the input right back, right? We saw that with the example where they just gave the number 1, just give it back. If they gave us 2, 3, 5, just give it right back. Reflect that input right back to them. There's nothing to hide because we have to show 4 digits or whatever we have to work with. So that takes care of that case. This should handle empty string as well. Okay, if we've made it through this point, we sort of survived, and now we're here in execution. We know that there are 5 or more characters. That means we're going to have 1 or more pound symbols as part of our answer. And I'm going to use some link methods that we've already used in the past. Here we're combining them a little bit differently, but it's stuff you know, so it should look familiar. And it's good practice. We like to keep repeating that stuff. So let's start by making the pound signs. First, let's go with int, let's call it number of pound symbols that we want to have, right? And that would be we already have this, the length minus 4, right? Anything in excess of 4, we're going to fill with pounds. So now we know how many of those we want. It's in this num pounds variable. And then I can say enumerable. Do you remember repeat? Where you give it a character and the number of times you want to repeat it, and it basically sets up a collection for you with that one character repeated however many times you specify. So that's perfect for us. In this case, our symbol, or the character, notice the single quotes, is a pound symbol. That's what we want. And then I'm going to give it this variable, num pounds. That's how many of them we want. Good, so we got that. We know we can get the last 4 by using, say, the substring method on string. We could do that. And so how do we put these together? Can you think of a way to do that? And if you recall, we had a method concat to do that. And so what are we going to concatenate on there? We can say string substring. Don't know why it always does that. string substring, and then we give it the starting index, which would be the length minus 4, right? The last 4 digits or characters in there is what we're going to show. And then we know that you can give it a second parameter if you want to specify how many characters, but we're just going to say read the rest. It's going to grab the 4 characters that we need. Okay, so at this point, I think we have an enumerable of type char. That's what this repeat would have set up. It's a char, right? An enumerable of type char. Concated that. So finally, we're going to have to definitely make a string out of this to satisfy this definition, which is calling for a string here. And we know that we can make a string out of a character array. We saw that constructor before. So if I make this into an array, I think that'll take care of that. To array, hopefully I got the right number of parentheses. It's hard to tell when you're not in an IDE. That will, actually this one might highlight for us. Yeah, okay, cool. So, yeah, make a bunch of pound signs, however many you need, concatenate a string to the end, the 4 visible numbers that we want to see, make it into an array. Now it's a character array, and we can construct a string out of that. That's sort of the idea here, and then we better add our using statements before we get yelled at. System link. Let's see what this turns out. Oh, cool. There we go. There you have it. We passed our tests. And so, yeah, there are a lot of different ways you could do this. You could have probably used the replace method. I'm sure you could have done some kind of thing with the regex for replacing as well. A lot of different ways to go about this. This is just one way that I thought to do it. You check to make sure the input, if it's a trivial case, you got 4 or less numbers, just return them, give it right back. And then finally, I note how many pound signs I need, and I basically construct a new string in place here with that number of pound symbols, add the visible characters, turn it into an array, and build a string out of it. That's the general strategy here. But I would like to see what you came up with, and as usual, don't hesitate to ask me if you have any questions. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.